campaña aérea. Nos desplegamos para ejercitarnos y cohesionarnos a fin de aumentar nuestro poder de combate del año 2025. Nos encontramos desde la zona operativa de defensa integral Amazonas, preparados y atentos, óptimo de preparación del Estado ante la amenaza de asegurar la defensa integral de la nación. Venezuela es un territorio de las instalaciones estratégicas y establecemos el control de las diferentes direcciones de combate, pero incrementando las medidas de enmascaramiento y de defensa integral capital número 81. La Fuerza Cabeza Aérea, conduciendo operaciones de desgaste y contramovilidad.
Well, the Maduro regime has responded by mobilizing, or what they think is mobilizing, citizen militias. We have significant doubts about whether these militias would actually fight in an invasion type scenario, but they've nevertheless responded by showing videos of mobilizations in major urban centers. They've been very public about where they've placed their aerial defense systems. They've shown lots of videos of the Venezuelan armed forces preparing for conflict. They've also called upon the region to more forcefully denounce the deployment of U.S. forces. Notably, the region has been quite silent in its criticism of the U.S. In fact, many countries have been supportive of the deployment in the Southern Caribbean. A number of countries have also declared Venezuelan cartels to be foreign terrorist organizations, which looks to Washington as if the region is actually in favor of the pressure campaign against Maduro, as opposed to lending him any kind of diplomatic credibility.
Forces into Mexico to take him out?
Could happen. Stranger things have happened.
I think this is happening now for a number of reasons. First, the Trump administration is very keen to demonstrate that they are implementing a new paradigm when it comes to dealing with counter-narcotics. No longer is the U.S. Coast Guard the lead operator in these missions, but the U.S. Navy and the U.S. Air Force have been brought in to support and in many ways take over these missions. And I think that that new paradigm is there because the administration is keen to show that foreign terrorist organization designations for cartels in Latin America have consequences, in this case, lethal consequences. This is not just rhetoric, but it is indicative of a new operating model which sees the U.S. Navy and the U.S. Air Force in the lead and the U.S. Coast Guard no longer. Second, I think the administration understands that Maduro himself and his regime is implicated in these kinds of activities. Well, I see 3 or 4 different distinct scenarios here. One is that Maduro decides he doesn't want to remain in office or that the pressure is too high. He would rather leave of his own volition. I think that's the best scenario for everyone. After all, he was defeated last year in elections. He remained in office despite the vote tallies clearly showing that by 2-1 or more, the Venezuelan people chose against him. Another potential scenario is if the U.S. does start hitting land-based targets in Venezuela, you could have the Venezuelan armed forces decide that they will act in the interest of self-preservation and that their future is not with Maduro, that their future is actually with the democratic transition, that they've never been, the Venezuelan armed forces, it should be noted, the modern Venezuelan armed forces have never been in conflict before. So the context changes dramatically if the U.S. begins to hit land-based targets in Venezuela. They've never experienced anything like that before, and they may well decide that their interests, their future, lies with someone other than Nicolas Maduro. And in that scenario, they could deliver Maduro to justice. They could kill or capture him They could try to seize power themselves. They could stand on the side of a democratic transition. That could play out in a number of ways.
大家好，我是主播周玉晴。很多的朋友告诉我们，太阳星全效克菲尔益生菌帮助了睡眠品质。现在呢，进一步推出晚安加强版，添加了首创最适合台湾人体质的天然 GABA、色氨酸、茶氨酸、香蜂草4大天然草本助眠配方，强化睡眠全期都起到放松舒眠的效果。太阳星全效克菲尔益生菌，它本身就含有台大专利授权克菲尔乳杆菌 M1 等8种专利菌，首创益生菌、益生元、后生元黄金3角配方，帮助维持消化道的机能。有季节敏感、代谢困扰、关心异常细胞风险的好朋友呢，可以选择原版的太阳星全效克菲尔益生菌，它添加有超级食物羽衣甘蓝，健康再加分。而有睡眠困扰的朋友们，赶快选择蓝色包装这一款晚安加强版，绝对是更有感。选择太阳星全效克菲尔益生菌，做好日常保养，实现睡眠自由，身体轻松无负担。每日克菲尔，时刻美好 ，Good Feel Good， 请上快点购为健康下单，而且要记得输入推荐代码，有额外的折扣优惠。